So I would like to go ahead and call this funding meeting to order today for Friday, May 21st at 2 p.m. At 2:03 p.m. We're going to go ahead and do a roll call. I am here, our VP of Business Affairs or the equivalent representatives, Michael.
Here.
And I see Nee is here too. Nee.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. We have our club representatives. So Amend.
Here.
Caduceus Club. Caduceus Club is absent. Let the record show. InterVarsity Christian Fellowship.
Here.
And Third Wave.
Here.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We have established quorum. We're going to go ahead and move to approving our agenda for today. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We're just going to go over funding procedures if anybody is still confused on that and just approve the submissions we have on Answer Live. So if there are no questions or comments, I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the agenda for May 21st, 2021.
Third Wave first.
Amend first.
Third Wave first and Amend seconds. Okay. Oh, okay, no worries. Yeah, are there any opposed to that? We're just going to go ahead and just do a unanimous vote, hopefully. So are there any opposed to that? Are there any abstentions? Okay, it looks like our agenda has been approved. Next, we're going to go ahead and move on to approving the minutes from our previous meeting. Oops, I think I accidentally closed it. Let me go ahead and bring it up. Sorry, y'all. 5, 7. All right, here we go. So these were our minutes from our previous meeting. We did not have discussion on funding procedures, but we did approve requests for PCC Global Club. They had a guitar performance that they wanted us to reimburse them for. And that was the only action that occurred. So if there are no questions or comments, I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion now to approve the minutes from May 7th ICC Funding Committee meeting. Do I have a first?
InterVarsity first.
InterVarsity first. Do I have a second?
Third Wave seconds.
Third Wave seconds. Thank you. Are there any opposed to approving these minutes? Are there any abstentions? No. All right. We have approved those minutes. Next, we'll move on to public comment on non-agenda items. I'm looking at the YouTube, but I do not see anything here, but I will bring it up if there are any. Next, we'll go ahead and move on to discussion items, ICC funding procedures. So any questions about that, any clarifications or technical issues anybody had with Answer Live this round? No?
Nope.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and if there's no discussion, we'll move on to our action item for today, which is approval of ICC funding. So we have 3 submissions. I'm going to go through it kind of one by one. It might take a little bit, but I will make some recommendations on them. And yeah, we're just going to be kind of a little bit more meticulous, seeing that this is our last meeting. So first up, we have this submission from Active Minds from Evelyn. They want to go ahead and attend a conference. So I did read some of the comments before the meeting started, and there was some question as to whether we should approve their submission because it looks like their conference is happening, has already happened, sorry. So according to Carrie and our discussion that we had together, she has spoken to the ICC representative and they know not to do that in the future. And seeing that the event has already happened and they have all the receipts in order, I see no reason to not approve it unless the committee has any comments about that. Any questions? No? Okay, so it looks like the total was $70. Yeah, I see no problem approving this. Just as I guess like a cultural thing in the future, I know I'm going to definitely have to communicate this with Natalie and Brianna, who's our next VP of Business Affairs, but we just have a big issue. I don't know if it's just because of the format of the way we're doing things being online, but we see a lot of people this semester like paying for things out of pocket and then expecting us to reimburse them later, which is not good. But just an aside, for any members of the public that are watching, let the record show that in the future, it is likely that we will not be paying for events or items that have already been paid for out of pocket. So yeah, other than that, though, I don't see any problem with Evelyn's request here.
I have a quick question,
Yes.
Christopher. On the one that I looked at, I only saw the receipt for Evelyn. Do we need 2 receipts for the auditors or whoever looks at?
Yeah, so this is another thing too. Thank you for asking that question. This is another thing too that I think there's a little bit of confusion. Like the committee isn't supposed to, or the committee's responsibility is not to evaluate whether they have receipts or the little requisition half sheet. Our responsibility, I think, is to really only look at the content of their event budget request form, whether they need minutes, and if they have those minutes, and the description of their funding, because the receipts and the requisitions, like that part of the paperwork comes after we approve them. That's when they want to go ahead and claw that money out of the account.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's like, I know like some people were confused. They just submitted receipts as supplemental documents during the Lancer Life funding form. But like, we don't necessarily need that during this process, if it makes sense. Like that comes like after we approve them.
Yeah, because typically they wouldn't have paid for it.
Right. Typically they wouldn't have paid for it. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for that. Good question though, Sylvia. Any other questions or comments for Active Minds requests before we move on? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to our next submission here, which is Gabriella, sorry, request for SHIP and their conference. So I know there was a little bit of contention in the comments here about this particular request, being that their conference is in the summer. I've also talked to Carrie about this, and she is actually okay moving forward with paying for their admissions, seeing that the conference is going to be virtual in the summer. Yeah, I mean, everything is in order in terms of their event budget form and their approval. So I don't see a problem approving this, but I don't know if the committee has any thoughts or comments about this request here.
I just had a clarification. So they're okay, right? Because that's the only reason I put no, because I remember they were saying, hey, you can't fund activities that are done during the semester. And theirs are July 13th and 14th, and then August 15th and 13th. So we're okay with approving for both of them, like it's two separate days.
Yeah,
with that?
you know, and this
Or
goes to the,
two separate sections, one in July, one in August.
right. I mean, this goes into the question I think of then, you know, this semester has been really challenging, as you've known with attendance, right? Like I've had to, I think, let people slide, and I haven't really necessarily chartered people this semester. I think we have to use the same kind of flexibility maybe for something like this too, seeing that, you know, it is going to be a remote conference and it is going to be in the fall. I don't see a problem giving them money to attend it. I'm not sure if the committee thinks otherwise, but I think this is maybe one of those instances where I'm just okay making an exception, which definitely I will communicate with Natalie and Brianna in the future that they would definitely maybe have to take a second look at giving exceptions like this in the future. But I think being the format that we are this semester, I think it's okay approving them unless the committee has other thoughts on this.
I completely agree with you. It was just more of a sense of me practicing the steps to evaluate the form. So it's just like, okay, when I look at them, it'll be like, oh, don't quickly say no because it doesn't follow, because there's a chance that it might be an exception.
Right.
So I just, you know what I mean? It's just clarification for me. Obviously, I want to approve this. So
No, I get it. I mean, the committee has done their job in, you know,
that
looking at.
works for me. Cool.
Right. The committee has definitely done their job, and I appreciate you all kind of taking a critical eye and you know, recognizing that the date doesn't align to necessarily our rules. But yeah, I talked to Carrie about it. She says she's okay approving it. So if Carrie is okay, because she's the bulk you know, handler of all these requisitions and forms, and knowing what's going on with clubs, I'm okay moving forward. yeah, with this, again, I don't know if the committee has any comments or if they think otherwise about it, but I'm personally okay. I don't know if what you all think or feel about it though. Sylvia or Taylor?
I think that if you guys approve of it, then I don't see what the issue is. Just if it's already like, if there's no problem with approving a later,
Yeah.
not in the semester
And,
date, then.
you know, so I mean, I understand I have a little bit of a bias in swaying the committee's decision by making this recommendation, but I just think that seeing our budget and how much we have left in the coffers and we didn't spend a lot for ICC, I'm personally just okay moving forward with just giving money to people to have their last events. We
Yeah.
we need to spend it or not necessarily lose it, but I feel like we need to spend it in a way that benefits students. It's like it's better going to students than it is just sitting there, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I agree too with you, Christopher. You're a good advocate for these clubs.
Yeah, right. I mean, it is interesting because this conference is going to happen after my term ends, but yeah, I just I feel like we should spend it now rather than just letting it sit. So, but I appreciate the compliment, Sylvia. But yeah, so if there are no further questions or comments on this, I'm okay moving. Are we okay moving forward to the next request? Okay. All right, and then yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make one big motion at the end. So thank you for holding on, Victoria. Yeah, if if we approve all three, or some of them, I'll go ahead and combine them into one overarching motion.
That's what, Chris, how much money was that? Just so I can add that to the minutes.
Oh, sure. So I'm sorry for jumping around here, but it's $410 in total for their line item sheet. Okay. So next we have Catholic Student Fellowships request. This has been revised by Carrie. I will, this has been a complicated request that Carrie and I has taken a look at. This has been one of the more complicated requests that we've taken a look at throughout the semester. I will have to admit, but I don't want to go too much into the story about this, but this rosary thing has been going on since last semester. And I feel like seeing that this is our last meeting, I feel like we should really maybe just take a look at it and approve it and pay this company and, give not only Catholic student a fresh slate to start with for ICC funding for the next semester, but, Natalie and Brianna as well. Not to say that like I just want to approve it because I want to get it off the list, but this is something that has been a pending thing that we should be paying for a while now. So their request is for rosaries. And the issue that I think we had in the past was, or the issue for this request is the original request, if you looked at it before Wednesday or before yesterday, they wanted to go ahead and buy masks. We couldn't do that because it would be considered a gift of public funds. So we have since changed the request to paying for the rosaries that has been pending since last semester. So that's why there's a little bit of like a history with this particular request. If you go ahead and scroll down on the right side, it was denied twice because Carrie had to go in and revise it. But we worked through it. We have aggregated their documents into the final pending request. And I think everything is there for us to approve. So let's kind of get into it, unless people have more questions about the background of this request or anything like that.
I don't have a question about the background. I guess just the only reason why I'm a little confused is on their ICC funding form, they list that they need $300, but on the actual invoices or the, not invoices, but the, what would you call it? The estimate, it's less than that. So that was the only issue I had with it.
Right. So the reason why we are setting it at 300 and why there's like kind of a mismatch between the two is because this request has been pending for so long. I don't know if we're going to incur any extra charges for it just sitting there or any extra charges because the promotion has changed. Like because I know they use the coupon, or like shipping increase of cost. So the 300 is kind of like a bar we set, like they can spend no more than 300. So if that 273 figure changes because of any of those reasons that I've stated, that 300 bar that we set will be able to accommodate whatever those extra fees are.
Okay.
Hopefully that makes sense. It's something that actually associate students I do on the board, like whenever I make a request and have it approved at our meetings. Just as a background, like we always say, our budget for XYZ event should not exceed more than $1,000, right? Even if the total amount and we add up all the receipts, it's like $910.50, because we don't know, we never know, like if there's going to be extra charges or
Right.
stuff in the future that might happen. So that's the reason why for this particular request, we're setting it at 300, even though I understand there is a mismatch.
Okay, I assumed it was something like that, but I just wanted to check in and make sure, just because I don't know.
Yeah, no. Thank you for pointing it out. I'm very grateful to all of you for just, hey, this date doesn't match or this amount doesn't match. Like that is exactly, the ideal committee, members' responsibilities. And I appreciate you all for taking that and, having those comments. Any other thoughts still before I kind of click through the paperwork? Faison or Sylvia?
No.
Okay. I'll go ahead and move on to then let the record show this was their ICC funding request form. They went ahead and voted on this item at a regularly scheduled club meeting. And we're setting the amount not to exceed $300. So yes, and this was the invoice that they have. Yeah. And this was the W-9 form. So this is kind of, again, going into the whole question of like they kind of paid for it already before, which is why they have all this document, the receipts and evidence and stuff. But again, just for if anyone is interested from the public, this was their request. But the committee is going to, really only take a look at their funding request form and any supplemental document of that nature. Okay. Are there any questions about this request or any of the other two requests we looked at today before I make a motion?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I am glad we are wrapping up here then. So let me go ahead and make a motion. Let me just click through and just make sure real quick before I write it down and echo it to you all. So give me one moment. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion now. So now I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve Active Minds' $70 request for their national conference fees, SHIP's $410 request for their NILA 2021 conference fees, and InterVarsity Christian Fellowship's purchase request of rosaries not to exceed $300.
It's Catholic Student Fellowship.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me amend that. Catholic Student Fellowships purchase request of rosaries not to exceed $300. I apologize. Do I have a first?
Third wave first.
Third wave first. Do I have a second?
InterVarsity seconds.
InterVarsity Christian Fellowship second. Seeing that this is an action item, I'm going to go ahead and move to a roll call vote. So amend. Amend, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Caduceus Club is absent. InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, how do you vote?
Yes.
Third wave.
Yes.
And our business affairs vice president or equivalent representative.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Neat. So we'll go ahead and yeah, we'll move on from this action item then. Future meeting dates and times. So seeing that this is our last meeting, there are no future meeting dates and times, but I commend you all for being on the committee and, you know, spending time and taking a look at the requests and coming to these meetings. So yeah, give yourselves a pat on the back for all of your hard work. Thank you for coming. I know this is the final time I'm seeing you all for the semester, but if you're graduating, congratulations. If you're transferring, congratulations. If you're taking classes, I hope to see you all around because I will be here another year. Yeah, then I'd like to go ahead and move to a final adjournment for our last meeting. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting today at 2:25 p.m. Is there a first?
Amend first.
Amend first. Is there a second?
Third wave second.
Third wave second. All right. Are there any opposed to adjournment? Are there any abstentions? All right, motion passes. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and take us off the live stream here. Give us a moment. Okay.